How many of you know who Russell Simmons is? All right, we all know who he is, right? There's a bad brother, right? So he's the big hip-hop mogul. And he wrote a book which I highly, highly recommend to you all, okay? You'll love this book. It's written for young people. But I read it as, just recently. And it's something like Do You. It's called Do You, 12 Laws to Success and Happiness. And he just pours himself out. What he's seen both as a musician and a producer and in his life, how he got to be what he is. And he's like a mega millionaire, right? He gives back to community and all that. It's an excellent, excellent book that I recommend you pick up. And if you don't like to read, they have it on audio too at the library, because that's how I first checked it out. I listened to it in my car or wherever I was. But one of the things he says, the key thing he says is do you. And what he means by that is stay true to yourself. Stay true to you. He defines doing you, and this is quote, as listening to the voice of God inside of you. To that voice that speaks of your dreams, that gives you clues about your passion, your purpose, and your path. He says that from Gandhi to Bob Marley to Tupac, so many people throughout history have been able to change the world by doing you. Not even just because they have a strong faith in their own ability, but they have a faith in the ability that God has placed in them. They take the time to listen to that voice and they have faith in it. He also talks about doing you is about being honest with yourself and being honest with people. One of the most important things we have as people is our word. And when you are known as somebody who is not a person of your word, even as a young person, your credibility is shot. It is so hard to regain your reputation back and your trust back when you're not who you say you are. Now, I know that's a tall order. You're young. I'm not saying you got to be perfect. But if you say you're going to do it, do it. Don't make promises you don't plan to keep. Be honest with yourself. If you had a great 9th grade, be honest with yourself and celebrate how you managed to do that. And if you didn't, be honest with yourself too. Like I said, there's a lot of things that contribute to our success. But the key one is ourselves. And so be honest with yourself. Be honest and be willing to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I kind of slipped on that. I didn't bring my A game on that. Let me just turn this thing around. Okay? The fourth thing I want to tell you is, don't waste your time worrying about the haters. Okay? Anybody got haters in your life? You're a lucky group. I don't know anybody who doesn't have a hater in their life. Okay? I want to share with you something. I recently had an opportunity to speak in Chicago, and I did a talk on First Lady Michelle Obama. And in preparation for that talk, I studied her really in depth, her life and her upbringing and all of that. And so long before Michelle Obama was the First Lady of the United States, married to the President of the United States, before she was a high-powered corporate lawyer, she was a young person just like yourself, growing up in the south side of Chicago. She grew up in a one-bedroom house that her parents rented. Her father had a disability. Ultimately, he actually had MS. He had to stop working. And it was her and her brother, Craig. And their room was the living room. And in the middle of the living room, they had a sheet, a blanket that separated it. And that's how they were able to live. And so she came from really humble beginnings. But she made some decisions early in life that she wanted to achieve the very best she could. She used to take a bus 3 hours to get to high school because it was the better high school. She fought to get into that school. People would tell her, you should be an athlete because of the way you build. She was like, I don't want to be an athlete. And there's nothing wrong with being an athlete, but she didn't want to be that. She wanted to be focused on her academics. And people used to tell her, oh, you think you all that, or you think you're better than us, going off to that school or whatever. She dealt with a whole lot of haters, and this is what she said about it. She said, I wasn't exceptional. I didn't start out with any high-powered connections, no secret formulas for success. I didn't worry about what other people said about me. I worked really hard. I wanted to be smart, and so I did what I had to do. Key piece, I didn't worry about what anybody said about me. You could get caught up spending your day worried about what somebody's saying about you. Don't worry about it. More important is what you say about you.